either 4 years of Hillary or 8 years of Hillary, or 4 years of Trump or 8 years of Trump, is our movement effectively destroyed? Like this was our moment, and we missed it. And with 8 years or 4 years of either one of these guys, either this monstrous character on the right or the most establishment person that we have in politics, in Hillary Clinton, having either one of them in office for the next 4 to 8 years, does that destroy our movement? Or do we still have a chance somehow? And if so, how do we fight back against this?
Right. No, that's a very important question. First of all, can I begin by answering that by saying that I don't believe that Trump should get any echo, and I want him to be trounced in the election, and which is why I feel Bernie Sanders, if he had run in as an independent, or if the Democratic Party actually intended to defeat Trump, and if that was their top priority, they would have done everything in their power to promote Bernie's campaign. So I don't want Trump to win, but I also don't think that regardless of whoever wins, that our movements are going to stop. For the simple reason that large numbers of people are, while they may be stymied for now, and I know that that's true. For example, a large number of Bernie supporters are, I think, looking for direction. They're wondering, what should I do now? I hate Trump, but I also hate Clinton and what she represents. Where do I go? And that is why at this moment, we are urging that people support Jill Stein and get involved in mass movements, get involved in socialist alternative. But the reality is that large numbers of young people are not going to accept whether Trump wins or Hillary wins. They're not going to accept what those corporate parties have to offer. They are going to keep mobilizing. That is why I'm saying that the urgency of fighting racism, the urgency of fighting every kind of oppression, the need to really present an alternative to climate change through renewable energy, all of these concerns are not, none of these concerns are going to disappear just because either of these two win. So I have no doubt in my mind that we have every reason to be optimistic that we will build fighting movements in the next years to really defeat the corporate agenda. And also we have to go beyond that and raise the question of an alternative to capitalism itself. But what I am saying is that none of this is going to be automatic. We are not going to be able to fight climate change. We're not going to be able to even do simple reforms like $15 an hour unless we fight the Democratic Party and the Republican Party both. And that requires a twofold strategy. One is to build mass movements from below, and for those mass movements to have the clarity that unless we break from the Democrats and Republicans, we're not going to win. I mean, let me give you a concrete example. We won 15 in Seattle because socialists and workers mobilized against the Democratic Party. And you know what? One of the Democrats who was running for mayor the same year I was running for city council, do you know what he said? He said, low-wage workers, poverty-stricken workers who go to work every day, they're presumptuous to be asking for $15 an hour. He's saying this at the time that more and more wealth has flowed to the very top. And right now in Minneapolis, the 15 Now campaign that I launched in Seattle, it's gone nationwide. In Minneapolis right now, they're struggling to put 15 on the ballot. And the entire city council and the mayor, who are all Democrats, have done everything in their power to keep it from going on the ballot. So my point is this, that if we want to win any of the things that we should be fighting to win, we are going to need to break from the Democrats. So I would say that we should be absolutely optimistic because we have a whole generation of young people just raring to go. But the only way we can win anything is if we have a clarity that we need independence from both parties. And I'll give you one final example. This is from a time that most of us weren't born in the Nixon era. I mean, I wasn't here in the United States when the Nixon era happened. But do you know what? On paper, Nixon was a racist, bigot, misogynist, but on paper, he is perhaps the most progressive president. Why? Because at that time that he won, mass movements were raging all across the United States, and we were able to win the Environmental Protection Agency, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, the Vietnam War was ended, and the Supreme Court ruled on Roe v. Wade for abortion rights. All of this happened at a time when the White House had a Republican president. And that doesn't mean that I'm arguing for Trump in any way. I want Trump defeated. But my point is that when mass movements understand that we need to become independent of both parties, both these corporate controlled parties, we can actually win victories despite whoever is in the White House.
Kshama, that last point was so good, and thank you so much, because that gives me hope again, because you're absolutely right. Those things happen independent of who was in the White House.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's a great point.